Yep, that's right. Baking with Beppo is back in our new kitchen, and today we're making cheesecake. You know the Sonic uniform. I had a chef today. What can I say? Now, normally this is the point where I talk a little bit about the history of cheesecake, but there's a big 90-minute gap in the cooking process because guess what? For the first time ever on Baking with Beppo, we're using an oven. Also, ignore my dog. But we're using an oven. It only took 1 year on a baking show to use the oven. We're gonna start by chopping up 3/4 cup strawberries. Okay, add those to the blender. Next, you add 3/4 cup of frozen cherries. I like using dark sweet cherries. Add them to your blender, along with 1/2 cup of raspberries. Add 1/2 cup of sugar. Next, add 2 tablespoons or 1/8 cup of lemon juice. Next, blend until smooth. We're gonna pour it through a mesh strainer to try and get all those seeds out. So go ahead and pour it in there. And you may notice it's not going through very quickly. That's because of all those seeds that we're trying to, remove. So take a spoon. One moment. Take a spoon and kind of stir it around as you do it. This helps break up those seeds that are coating the bottom and allowing it to move through faster, because basically you're just breaking up any clogs. Next, you're gonna bring it to about a medium-high heat, and you're gonna, when it starts boiling, let it simmer for about 5 minutes. What we're basically doing now is we're boiling off any bits of water and such to kind of concentrate that flavor down and get a little bit of a thicker sauce. So once it's simmering for a bit, you're gonna take it off and you're gonna pour it into a air-sealed container. I would recommend using just a normal Tupperware. Place your container in the fridge. We're gonna come back to this in just a bit. Next, add 1 3/4 cup of graham crackers into a food processor. It's gonna be approximately a 1 sleeve of graham crackers. Along with some sugar, you're gonna place 3 tablespoons of sugar, which, give me 1 second, I can find them where I said it. Oh, here it is. 3 tablespoons of sugar. And 6 tablespoons of melted butter. Give me 1 second to melt that butter up. And in goes the 6 tablespoons of melted butter. I'm holding this very precariously. And now for the second time in the process, blend. Next, you're gonna go ahead and put your graham cracker crust into your springform pan. Double line your springform pan with some tin foil. You'll understand why soon, but go ahead and scoop all that out of here and into your springform pan. Quite a bit of it, isn't there? I want to turn British. We'll talk about the British later. Next, you're just gonna take it, spread it across your pan, and pat it down flat. Just like so. And just go ahead and fully spread that across, and I'll be back when that's finished. Next, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 177 Celsius if you live across the pond. Go ahead and place that crust in the oven and let it bake for about 10 minutes. Next, you're gonna add 24 ounces of cream cheese. So there's 1 8-ounce block, 2, 3. Get all that mixed all nice in there, and then we're gonna place it here in our mixer. Shout out KitchenAid, and chop that in. And we're just gonna whisk this until it is nice and smooth. Make sure you lock up your mixer. You don't want things flying off. Now we're just gonna go ahead and mix this until it's smooth and fluffy. Next, we're just gonna remove that pan from the oven and place it on here. And now we're gonna reduce our oven's temp from 350 down to 325. So, I'm gonna reduce that down to 325. Next, you're gonna add 1 1/2 cups of sugar. 1 teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Give me 1 moment on that. And a teaspoon of vanilla. Quick clarification, I was wrong. Not 1 1/2 cup of sugar, 1 1/4 cup of sugar. It's in there correctly, I just said it wrong. Next, we'll go ahead and stir this in until it's nice and well combined. Next, add 1 cup of sour cream. Try to scrape as much of that in there as I can. And 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. Next, we're gonna go ahead and mix all of that in. Next, you're gonna add 3 eggs. I'm trying to add them one at a time here. Three eggs, let those mix in well. Now, since this is our 1-year anniversary, let's just go ahead and zest this up a bit by adding a little bit of lemon zest. Well, I think I'm missing all of that. This is an orange, not a lemon either. So yeah, I'm just gonna add a bit of orange zest to it. I think that's good enough. Okay, next you're just gonna add your filling into your springform pan. Just gonna pour this on. Go ahead and scrape all of this out. Let's get as much of that filling out there as we can. Okay, so next you're going to make your little design using your roll and berry sauce. You're gonna put some on the top and make your design, but I've never been one for designs, and as you can tell, that's not my arm. So instead we have some help from my mom making this. She is a wonderful baker, so we're gonna see how this turns out. She's not done this before, so we're gonna see how this goes. It's already looking way better than I ever could have done. Wow, just wow. This is so much better than I could have ever hoped to have made myself. Like I said, design is not my strong suit, but thank you so much, Mom, for creating just amazing baking with Beppo cheesecake design using our berry sauce. Okay, next you're gonna put the cheesecake into the oven that's at 325 in a pan of water. That's gonna help keep it all moist while it's in there, because it's gonna help kind of steam it. And we're gonna leave this here until it fully bakes. It's gonna take about 45 to 60 minutes. In the meantime, we're gonna go over some history. So, if you're like me, you thought, oh, okay, the history of cheesecake started in like New York, because New York style cheesecake. Not quite. Actually, it goes back a lot farther. How far? 5th century BC. Yes, 4,000 years ago. On an island of Samos in Greece, they would take fresh cheese, like patties of cheese, smash them down with flour and honey, and bake it on an earthenware grill. This would then be served to people, and this is the origins of cheesecake. Now, this version of cheesecake was very much so considered to be like very good for your energy, and they ended up serving it, like there's evidence to prove, we aren't entirely sure, but there's evidence to suggest that this version of cheesecake was served at the original Olympic Games in 776 BC. However, cheesecake stuck around even after the fall of Greece, because in the mid-medieval ages, about 1390 AD, there was in England the very first. It's called the First English Cookbook. It contained different variations of cheesecake, some including flour, eggs, and flavor profiles. And for the next like 500 years, every single like cookbook that you'd find would contain some variation of cheesecake in it. It was just that much beloved. And in fact, with it being that loved, it's no surprise that in 1730 it made its way to America. In fact, there was even, I think in Philadelphia, there was the Cheesecake House Tavern. Could be wrong on that name. I'll double check here in a minute and I'll get back with y'all. But which was basically a place that was even named after cheesecake. And Martha Washington's cookbook even contains, I believe, 3 different variations of cheesecake. One not even containing a crust. Martha Washington's cheesecake recipe also included things like rosewater and other very strong spices, but by the 19th century, these spices were mostly phased out, and things like vanilla or lemon were used instead as more subtle flavors for the cheesecake. In the 1930s, cheesecake changed drastically. Instead of curd cheese, they started using cream cheese. Now, this cream cheese made for a creamier, more sweet cheesecake, and Thus, the New York-style cheesecake that we all know and love today was born. Now, they also got a more creamy and different taste by adding more egg yolks, which became standard. So, there you go, the history of cheesecake. From 5th century BC all the way to the 1930s, where we got our dish that we still make to this day, and the changes that made along the way. I didn't know any of that before starting this little research spree, but it's really cool to learn. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed that little history of cheesecake, and we will be back whenever it's finished baking. Okay, the cheesecake is now done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the oven off, and we're just going to let it sit for about 30 minutes.